Hi, my name is Timo Lohena, and today we're going to talk about M365 security using third-party solutions. The main idea behind this 20-minute talk is to present what we can do with Fortinet products in M365. Why should you care, and what makes the solution better than is being offered natively by M365. Why M365 security is so interesting. This is kind of the why should you care part. And it is because it's the main reason there is that it's the golden standard of remote working. So everybody's been using M365. It's really highly likely that you will have your email solution in M365. You probably have used Microsoft Teams. You probably have used the email services, you have either sent or received email through M365. Many companies have adapted this as their de facto solution. So email itself has been moving into cloud for last 10 years. And it is still the most used communication method in any company if you're looking like this non-real-time communication that takes place in the corporations. This leads to the point that there's a lot of important data in M365. That's why the security should be in place and in order. Willie Sutton was asked, like, why are you robbing banks? Why are you stealing money from the banks? And his answer was, because that's where the money is. So this is also the same logic for securing M365. That's where all the important data is. There are the identities of the users. That's the critical communication point and data storage point for many organizations. What is there in M365? Well, there's a lot of things. Those identities, data, email, that makes possible to do phishing attacks, for example, sending malicious software, hacking accounts if there is no multi-factor authentication in place, even though it's provided by the platform. There are many things that are not so funny from the perspective of the organization or the users that are getting hacked to or being sent a lot of malicious stuff. So unauthorized access to that environment is very intriguing for external. Interesting enough is that a lot of administrators are not using multi-factor authentication in their own accounts, even though they are requiring their end users to do that in their deployments. Also, email is being used for phishing mails. So a lot of interesting looking mails are going through the system and they end up to the end user. If the email security solution is not capturing that before it reaches the end user, bad stuff might happen. Also, sending spam through the whole environment is happening all the time. If you receive a lot of spam, it means that spam filtering doesn't work for you. Why are we talking about security in Microsoft environment? Well, Microsoft has security. Of course, everybody who are providing SaaS solutions should provide security, at least even the primitive level of security. Microsoft has never been really famous of their security innovation or their security solutions. That's why it is very important to consider how good the security is that is in place right now, especially the email security. It's really hard to make effective email security unless you put a lot of effort and innovation into that game. Also, the bad actors are using Microsoft platform because it's the golden standard for remote working. And also for everyday working, to that matter, it's being used as a test platform for the tools. So when there's new attack, testing it against the Microsoft defenses is like very standard thing. You can even find a lot of information around this from the internet. So if you're planning to do your tools for any reason, even for internal testing, that's the place where you go for testing. And last but not least, Microsoft is not a security company. Yeah, they do security, but it's not their core business. It has never been their core business. Even there is a huge like investment into this, like $1 billion a year and 3,500 security professionals. The question is, what are you getting from it? Because there's a lot of aspects of security that Microsoft needs to do. That's why it is something that you should also consider. You get the basic level of security, of course. So it is better than nothing. But if you go out there and start evaluating and rethinking your solutions, you might find something better out there than is actually offered by the native Microsoft platform. That's where we are coming in. What we are proposing from our portfolio to be used securing M365, well, we have FortiMail. Email is the most secure, like the most important aspect that should be secured. Then there's the platform. We have CASB, Cloud Access Security Broker. Then there's the identity and access management. We actually do pretty damn good solution called FortiAuthenticator and mobile token for it, which is called FortiToken. For connectivity side, we are doing SD-WAN and also SASE solutions, so Secure Access Service Edge solution. So you may want to secure your connectivity to your M365, and that's where we are coming in with other solutions. When you want to answer the compliance part, CASB is really good for it. For email perspective, FortiMail is really good for it. When you want to have like all over security in place, taking care of the identities, taking care of the data, taking care of the content, taking care of the communication, and of course, one part of the communication is email. Those are important things to do. That's why I'm going to spend most of my time in email security. We have three key components of email security. One being FortiMail, that is doing the email security itself and email traffic management, analyzing the email contents and controlling the security components of the email. Then there's for content security, there's FortiSandbox, that is sandboxing the content and understanding those unknown entities of possible bad stuff. And then we have FortiGuard that is feeding this whole thing with up-to-date threat information. We have already seen that a lot of the malicious software and malicious components are valid for very short periods of time. In many occasions, they are valid for less than a minute before there's a new variant out there. And detecting that kind of stuff from email traffic can be a very tedious job unless you have the right tools in place. We have a lot of advantages here. We understand how the security component is supposed to work, what are the threats out there that you need to protect against, and then do that in highly integrated manner. That's why we mentioned that security fabric is one of those components that we are working on here. So when you have multiple Fortinet components in your possession or in your environment, they are automatically exchanging information between each other. So you will actually get this kind of defense in depth type of situation in here. And if you're looking at the bigger market, there are very few vendors out there that actually are manufacturing their own email security solution, producing their own threat information, like threat data, for threat protection purposes, and then doing their own sandboxing and firewalls and endpoint security and such. We are currently the most advanced security company out there that is doing the broadest security portfolio. So this is being just one portion of our security portfolio. This is pretty damn good stuff over here. What does FortiMail bring into the table? Well, artificial intelligence. We've been producing our own artificial intelligence since 2011. We answer to all Gartner's recommendations for advanced threat defense capabilities. We also have very comprehensive toolkit for data loss prevention and email security and for the archiving part. So those kind of things that are traditionally being requested from email security solution, if such is being bought as separate product or solution. These are very few times requested actually when you're doing that as bundled service from something else. So if you buy it as a SaaS service, necessarily you're not looking for any of that kind of features. You're just happy that you're being provided with security as part of the service. Then the administrative part, doing things easily, so it doesn't take a lot of time to learn the solution and how to implement and control the whole thing. We've been very good at that for a good while now. So once you need to get up and running, you can do it with ease. And then, of course, get good results. So when you are being tested, you are able to produce those results. Last year, SC Labs were doing this email security testing. And like you can see, Microsoft didn't do that well, but you need to remember that this is value add service for them. Same thing for Google. Then there were other vendors that are actually doing security as their main business, let's say that way. Fortinet has been around for 20 years, so we've been also providing FortiMail for most of that time. So we have very good experience, and we got accuracy rating of 90% last year from SC Labs, which is good. Still considering that that's not the only thing that we do. So looking into this, it doesn't take away the fact that the email service provided by Microsoft is pretty damn good, but the security isn't. That's why you should consider those other options out there. What makes us so different in the market is that we have very high success ratio when we get into testing. So we are effective. We produce those results. We get those recommendations, and we do that security job well that we promised to do. How we do it? We have comprehensive features. We have a good database for threats, which is our FortiGuards. That there's the reputation database, for example, so we know already the IP addresses that we kind of trust, and we shouldn't waste any time doing any further security analysis. Plus, we have really, really good way to recognize spam and phishing mail. So there's a lot more technical in-depth here that we don't have time for this time. If you want to have more comprehensive session, ask your local Fortinet team to do that, or your Fortinet partners. But the accuracy here is the key. For example, when you have spam, then there is the evaluation already for spam traffic to do outbreak protection, because spam might be used to distribute malicious software. There's this evaluation step where we take the attachments and evaluate their harmfulness before they are being released for the end user. Same thing with the viruses. We work together with the Cyber Threat Alliance. So we are one of the founding members of Cyber Threat Alliance, where we do collaboration between different vendors in the sandboxing form of way, and also in threat data form, where we share the information between other vendors, what we have found. So when there is something that we are analyzing, we're checking, has anyone else already analyzed this before, should we spend any time. So it's part of the pre-analysis before we do the actual analysis. Plus, we do behavioral analytics. So if it walks like a duck and it walks like a duck, is it actually a duck? Understanding like what it's like. So to understand the essence of the possible harmful thing that we are analyzing. This is actually very important thing to do. Main reason being that many of the malicious software is just in its own current form less than a minute before it changes its way and how the code is behaving, for example. That's why doing sandboxing is so important. Sandboxing the link, sandboxing the content, updating the IP databases and different kind of heuristic databases and recognition patterns. Doing that all the time in real time is very, very important thing to do to keep the end users out of the harm's way. What comes to the key features? Well, of course, data loss prevention. You have to have that if you have real security solution in place for email. Same thing for encryption and identity-based security solutions. Plus then doing the archiving for the email boxes. So all of that kind of things you would expect from real good email security solution. Once the security is correctly implemented, you will get a lot of visibility. So once you have done things correctly, you will get that visibility. And according to visibility, you can take action. Also, visibility provides better understanding what has happened if something happens that is not supposed to happen. So all that kind of things are important components of good email security solution. Doing the implementation in a simple manner, that's also key components of our solution. We do that over API. So there's M365 mode, where we do API clawback into the email service over Graph API. Makes things very easy. You don't need to change anything, but you can, if you want, you can go to transparent mode, or you can do gateway mode, or you can run full-blown email service on top of FortiMail if you want to do that. But if you just want to go for M365 email security, M365 mode is for you. It will do the mailbox inspection for you. It's a real-time analysis. It will check even the internal mails from M365 to M365 box to one another. It can do on-demand scanning. It can do real-time scanning, whatever you want it to do. Also, it can check the contents of your M365 implementation over the Graph API. It is still today being recognized as O365 Graph API. There's a lot of methods that are not even demanded by the Gartner that we are delivering here. And there's no change required for M365 infrastructure. By doing this, you will get nice reports, so you can actually do this kind of email risk assessment to understand what's your current standing with your email security. And this will all happen through Graph API. So you can evaluate the effectiveness of FortiMail security solution. You can also see what's the actual experience by using this solution and how effective the information coming from FortiGuard is. And you will get nice assessment report that you can share with your colleagues and your managing parties that make possibly decisions how money is being spent. On top of all of this, if you're interested about visibility and you want to understand how the whole platform is working, then FortiCASB might be for you. FortiCASB is doing a lot of visibility for M365. Plus, it will handle also Salesforce and ServiceNow. But if we just concentrate to M365, you get the visibility. You can do data security with that. You get threat protection, and you can do compliance reporting with that. It adds that visibility that you probably didn't have before. It delivers nice dashboards and per app discovery and drill downs into those SaaS applications, including M365. Plus, you can ask compliance report, are you GDPR compliant, for example, and deliver that report forward. Same thing applies to ISO 27001 and so forth. Also, there's a lot of trigger-based policies. So if something happens, you can inform NOC and SOC entities if you have such, or your partner is running that kind of thing for you. This works as kind of important part of the whole M365 security solution. You definitely should consider this if you're really into the M365 security. Thank you for now for your attention, and I hope to hear and see you in some other occasion. Thank you. Bye.